What's up, guys, and welcome to the AdventuREalty from the Studio podcast. So we give you guys tons of content about where to live, what to do, where to eat, that kind of thing. The focus of this podcast is to tell you about the people of Southern Indiana and Louisville. So I am here today with Ian Ellis, who was a college baseball player. Has since college, at a very young age, he's come out and he's now the owner of EBA Performance, which is a baseball academy / strength and conditioning. He's also the strength and conditioning coach for Ellis Baseball. So, Ian, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did we get to this point?
So I am a Jeffersonville high school grad. Played baseball my whole life. Baseball family. Played college baseball at two different schools: junior college, Olney Central, and Kentucky Wesleyan College. And I was decent at baseball, but I wasn't in great shape. And when I got to college, I realized I wasn't in great shape. At that point, it was probably too late. So I had to start working out. And
I guarantee you're in better shape than I am. So
yeah, in high school, maybe not.
I bet so.
when I got to college, I didn't play enough. So I had to find some sort of way to get in the lineup. So I tried to get really strong.
Yeah.
And that helped. And then I realized after I graduated college that maybe I should have started earlier. So that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I do what I do now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That brings up a good question. I mean, how early should you start as a baseball player or just anybody wanting to get in? I mean, I know you work with kids and what you're doing now and everything. How early do you suggest to get into starting to lift weights and doing that kind of thing?
So I have some 9 and 10-year-olds, but for the most part, if you're 9, 10, 11, 12, you can follow directions. And maybe you don't play other sports. About then is right. But if you wanted to wait till you were 12, 13, that's also fine.
Yeah. So you're looking more for like a focus level rather than just
because you get some kids that are super mature at 9 and 10 and they can follow directions, and those kids are going to be able to do what you tell them to do. But you get some kids that are 9 and 10 and they're kind of spaced out and they don't really want to be there, and they're not going to follow directions all the time, and they're going to be running all over the place, and you just can't have that in a gym.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear that. So I know that you come from just a great baseball family, and one of the things that I've had this conversation many a times is you see these families that have two brothers playing the NFL, or John Jones is a MMA fighter, there's 3 of them, I think. So I'm not necessarily saying you guys are at that level, but I'm just saying you obviously have some success at in baseball in particular. What would you say that is more of like a gene that you're just born with that you all share, or do you think it's like you just know what it takes to get there, or what do you think is behind that?
I think my dad just set us up from a very young age he loved baseball. He was really good at baseball. So Drew, older brother, naturally got into baseball, and everybody kind of knew that he was going to play in the big league at some point. Even as a 10-year-old, you can kind of tell. Yeah. And me and my younger brother, of course, wanted to be like Drew, so we wanted to play baseball. Yeah. So I think it all just started with my dad being really good at baseball, and then we all just kind of like snowball effect into baseball. Yeah. And we all worked really hard because you want to be like your older brother. Yeah. So absolutely. You work hard enough, and you're going to be when decent. You have
each other to test each other and things like that too. You constantly have competition amongst each other. I know. Yeah. So I was telling you before about me and my brother grew up playing ping pong against each other. Yeah. And we were so competitive with it that we just we'd play all the time. We'd get better at it. So I wish we would have been competitive at something more useful than ping pong, but
hey, it's something.
Yeah. Well, cool. So let's jump into IUS strength and conditioning coach. So that's a pretty young age to jump into that. What all does that entail?
So I just work with the baseball team. Okay. So my younger brother actually, he was at USI and now he's at IUS. And we actually talked about, they didn't have a strength coach at the time. So talked about consulting for him after I started my own business. So I've been running EBA Performance for almost 5 years now. I've worked with a few college teams. I worked with Kentucky Wesleyan golf when I was in college at Kentucky Wesleyan. That was my internship. And then graduated, working with a few other schools, teams, worked with Jeff High. And then I talked to the IUS coach, Brett, about coming on as a consultant because they just didn't have a guy at the time. And we started working with them in August. All I do is I go there, I write the programs. I go there Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning, and they train.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what is it? You mentioned that you did it for golf and baseball. Are there like baseball specific workouts and things like that you do differently for baseball as opposed to golf, or even a shortstop versus a,
it's baseball and golf are pretty similar. You just want to be able to swing the club really hard, hit the ball really far, of course. But baseball, you have a little bit more on the side of throwing. So you have an overhead athlete. So you got to protect the shoulder because that's the moneymaker. If you can't throw, you can't play.
Yeah.
Golf, you got to protect the lower back because it's a lot of swings around the lower body or around the low back. Really, if it's specific, it's more about protecting the athlete because strength is pretty specific.
Yeah. So you'd say it's kind of more about what you're protecting than it is about what you're, you just can't ruin a certain part of the body for each sport, which makes total sense.
I said specific, but I meant general.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. Well, that's awesome. So let's jump into EBA Performance. This is the company you've been running for how many years now?
I believe 4.
Gotcha.
Next year will be 5. It's went by fast.
So how did that start?
Like I said, I wasn't good enough. I realized I wasn't good enough because I was probably lacking in the physical aspect. But my dad had owned Ellis Baseball Academy, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do. And we had a little 14 by 14 square space in the side of it next to a garage door. It was like leaning and not great. And I had like $3,000.
Every big company starts that
from
way,
graduation money. And so I bought a rack. I bought some weights, some dumbbells. My dad actually had to help me out a little bit. With some of that, just because $3,000 and you're buying gym equipment after COVID, you can't buy anything.
Right.
So I started working one-on-one with clients, and like we talked about it, my schedule was weekdays 3:30 to 9:30 one-on-ones, and then weekends I was going basically 7 to 7 nonstop. Then fast forward, we grew as a whole, me and my dad, with Ellis Baseball Academy, and we were able to move facilities, and I was able to get bigger space so I can work with groups. Yeah. So now we're in our 3rd facility, hopefully our last facility, because we love it there.
And where's that at?
It is in Water Tower Station.
Gotcha.
I'm going to get that wrong.
Colgate area, right?
Yeah, around there on Main Street. And technically Clarksville, it's right by the 2nd Street Bridge.
Gotcha.
We love it there. We just moved in there, I think August, and I'm able to expand on my business and get high school groups, around 20 kids a group. Yeah. And they function pretty individually there.
Yeah. Do you get big groups of kids like that are on the same team that want to train together? Do you work through the team itself, or is these individuals coming to you? Or
so it depends. So I have a lot of kids from all schools. I have the most kids that I have are from Silver Creek, because I had 2 Silver Creek kids that I worked with for a long time. Yeah. And I told them, if you guys get 10, 12 more guys in here, I'll give the team a discount. So I got about 12, maybe closer to 15 Silver Creek High School baseball players, and they get a different rate because they have so many guys.
Right. And it probably kind of snowballs amongst itself because they're all buddies and stuff, and they want to train
together.
They all
drive each other, and it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any, we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but I wanted to ask you, what are your plans for growth? Do you see this going to something where you're hiring more people and turning it into a multi-location type of thing, or?
I've thought about it a little bit. I just don't know the logistics of. I don't think we'll ever open another location. Sure. I say that now. Things may change. Hiring people, I've thought about it before too. I have a few guys in mind that I would hire if I got to that point. Yeah. But I said early on that if I'm ever going to hire somebody, it had to be somebody that worked out with me before, just because the culture is a little bit different than most gyms. Yeah,
that makes sense. So it's leads me to my next question. It's just you basically right now in EBA Performance. Yep. It's just you doing the training.
Yep.
Gotcha. Cool. Let's see. So you said you start with, I was going to ask you what ages you start with. You mentioned you like to start around 9 or 10. Is there, do you have many at that age? Are you working with the Little League more or more in the high school range?
I have about 4 or 5, 9 and 10 year olds. But it's majority high school. I actually have a pretty good group of middle schoolers from 6th to 8th. And I got some 5th graders that are a little bit more advanced. So they're in those middle school groups.
Would you say, do you focus more on, in the training realm, do you focus more on baseball specifically, or would you say it's more of a strength training program?
It's more of a strength training program. Okay. I think you get a little too specific too early on, then it gets weird. And for the most part, I'm working with guys that don't have any training background, so it has to be pretty general.
Yeah.
If you get a kid stronger, he's going to get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Yeah, very true. I know, especially at a young age, I know I've got a 10-year-old and he's struggling to get into some of these sports right now because he hasn't focused on that kind of thing. You know, he's still the little guy, can't necessarily get the ball up to the rim or in basketball or swing the bat quite as hard, you know, things like that. So getting ahead, you know, you see the older kids get ahead, which that's basically why, is because they're a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, you know. So how can people find out more about your programs and you know, get involved?
So I'm pretty active. The place I'm the most active is on Instagram, at Ian Ellis Training. I'm active on Facebook a lot. I put a lot of stuff out for parents on there. Just Ian Ellis on Facebook. I have a website. It's pretty basic. It just tells you about what we do. That's EBA Performance 812.com. EBA
Performance 812.com. Cool. Maybe we'll put a link in there or something. Hopefully get people out to you. Yeah, I was thinking, I forgot to mention it earlier. We were talking about family. I think you actually played in a game that was related to my family in a weird way. So my uncle pitched for Jeffersonville, and he was actually the last pitcher to throw a perfect game before Chandler Dale did it, which is a game that you played in. Yep. And it was pretty cool. My uncle actually came in town and like presented the award to him and stuff like that when he did it. So that was kind of cool. What was that like playing in a game like that?
Crazy. I played first base, and I remember there was one out left, and you're on first.
A lot of pressure on you.
Dude, don't. I'm sophomore. I was like, don't hit me the ball.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. Chandler actually threw 13 perfect innings against Jennings County because we played him in sectionals, and they didn't get a hit until one of the last innings. He was great.
What were was he threatening that kind of thing like a lot in terms of like, was he flirting with no hitters and perfect games very much, or was that?
He was good because when you get a guy that's upper 80s, maybe low 90s in high school, especially at that time, smaller schools can't touch it. Yeah. So you just throw a bunch of fastballs in there,
especially when you can throw it controlled. You know,
yeah, he was good. He was good.
Probably some dudes in there that can throw it really hard, but may not be able to control it like he does. Well, that's cool. Is there anything else you wanted to throw in to kind of use the platform to further your business or your cause or anything like that?
I think we kind of covered it all. What I would say is just not every trainer is going to be for every kid. Mm-hmm. So be open with going to different places first and finding someone that's going to connect with your kid. Cool. Because the culture I have at EBA is a lot different than other gyms, like I said earlier. Kids don't need a coach that's going to scream at them, so I'm not going to scream at them. Yeah. They need a place where they can develop in their own way. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let them be themselves to a point. And I think that's something that I do way differently than a lot of other coaches. Yeah. Well, good deal. Ian, I appreciate you coming. I'm going to throw my little tag here on the end. We do all these videos, but we also sell real estate in the area, and that's how we actually make our money. Believe it or not, we don't make a whole lot off this podcast. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in Southern Indiana or Louisville, definitely get us a call and talk to Ian. If you've got a kid, high schooler on down in age to elementary school, middle school, that you want to get involved in baseball or just getting stronger, get in touch with us and we'll help you get in touch with him, or just, contact him. So, Ian, we appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thanks a lot.